because this episode, like I said, I'm bulk recording, but this one will come out on the 31st of December 2024. So next time you'll see me will be in 2025, even though this episode will be recorded from the past, but I'll be in the future. Hello, welcome back to Al Talks. This podcast I started 3 years ago to chronicle me starting stand up. This podcast is a weekly podcast. It comes out once a week, and this is just a small little introduction video into the podcast. So down below in the description of each episode, you can go to my Linktree and find links to everything connected to me. This podcast is available on YouTube, which you're watching it on right now, and also on Spotify. But yeah, that is just a small introduction into this podcast and everything that goes along with it. Hello, welcome to the podcast Al Talks. This episode, what I'll be doing is doing an end of year comedy review for me. Now, I'm going to discuss it more in next year's episode, haha, because this is coming out. Because this episode, like I said, I'm bulk recording, but this one will come out on the 31st of December 2024. So next time you'll see me will be in 2025, even though this episode will be recorded from the past, but I'll be in the future, and so will you. But yeah, so what is this episode about? Basically, comedy year review of how I did. Now, I'll talk about it in next year's episode, but I ended up doing 31 gigs this year. It was supposed to be 30, but then I was going to see a show supporting Dogroy, who has appeared on the podcast before in a hack transmission, because that's how it is. Dogroy is very skilled with the interwebs. Um, but yeah, so Dogroy has been a great supporter, so I was going to see a show anyway, and they asked me to do a sports slot. So I got to perform my first ever support slot for a comics show, which was very good. But yeah, so in terms of how many gigs this year, so it ended up being 31. But like I said, I was not hoping. I was I had planned to do 30, but then this came up. So, but anyway, that's next week's episode, also in the new year, and this year the podcast has been interesting, and I suppose it's kind of it is a comedy end of year review, but also I suppose the podcast year review. I've gained an awful lot of subscribers, and an awful lot of more people have watched. I think this year maybe 65,000 views in a couple of months, so which is great. A lot more than the previous years. The podcast grew. I did this year's shows were a few were difficult. I had written an awful lot of new material, and at times it was kind of difficult to. It was just hard to get kind of good responses from the new material. I'm happy I wrote the new material, but it was difficult. It was a struggle. A lot of bombings. Not as bad as the year before, but that's kind of the territory that comes with producing new material for stand up. But it is what it is. This year was kind of I didn't plan on doing as many gigs as it averaged out pretty much the same as any other years, but it was partly because I did like a lot of double gigs, more so than other years, I think. And it was just a year like a lot of stuff changed in my personal life as well, which is interesting. Yeah, it's been in this year. The other interesting thing is, as a comedian, I've been attacked by the media twice this year, which is not fantastic. Once was it was a newspaper, I can't really talk about too much because, well, I did it was misinformation. That's all it was. And then on Instagram, Instagram decided just to delete one of my stories because according to them went against community guidelines, which I don't see how it did because I re-uploaded that exact same story and it didn't say anything at all. So I was, to be honest, really confused as to why it even happened to begin with. And Instagram has been really pissing me off about that sort of stuff. It's just I don't know. It's very stupid. So both I suppose both types of media came after me, both on the social media and what do you call it, misinformation from the old media, newspapers and whatever. So well, all I can say to that is you missed, motherfuckers. um, yeah, it's just it really did upset me because like especially the media, the misinformation media thing, because it was like a political thing, and I'm not a political comic. Look, it's like it was just stupid. It was misinformed and stupid, and the person responsible, well, I don't think in the end they managed to end up printing the articles. I don't think, but also it was good year for other media things as well because I got named as a local comic and podcaster. So two bad media things, one good one. So one of them cancelled out. So still one shitty media thing. But and it was I don't know. It did make me feel good, but also give me how should I say, like, not courage, but kind of a drive to strive better. Because the misinformation thing, I thought about it for a very long time how to approach the subject because I didn't want to get sued. Because there's defamation laws in Ireland and you can get sued by media and stuff like so. It's like if you misrepresent people's characters, basically in media or in content, you can get a whole lot of trouble. So I thought the best way to do it was the way I did it, which dissolves me of any problems down the line, I hope. And hopefully that person doesn't do it again. The show that I was supposed to be performing at, where that had occurred in that town, didn't go ahead. It got cancelled because of low ticket sales, which is it was because I really wanted to perform there, but it didn't end up happening. So it was kind of the me like it was also strange. It was like, why do you care that it's just like I'm not a very big comedian, and it was just very strange because you do hear about cancel culture and all this bullshit, and it's just when it strikes home, you're like, yeah. Because I always said like if you take personal responsibility for everything you say, they can never truly cancel. I don't know why I'm leaning so far back. Because I'm very relaxed, or am I falling asleep because I've recorded an awful lot of episodes. This is like episode 3 of 6 that I've bulk recorded. But yeah, so an overall interesting year. Lots happened, some good, some bad. To kind of roll back to what I was saying, it was no, to be honest, it was good um, to write a lot of new material to really test yourself, push me in terms of how I write for comedy and what works, what doesn't work. A couple of sad things happened as well. Melinda had, well, it's not a sad thing. Well, kind of. Friend of the podcast, Melinda, moved back to Austria, and so I don't get to see him as much anymore, which is because he like Melinda's been a guest on the podcast. He's now working on a second show, which I think will become a special later on. I've already seen it. He's kind of been doing a lot of work in progress. I've seen the work in progress and the full show as well before he left for Austria. But it was was quite sad to see him go. He's not gone too far away. It's just in Europe, which gives me an excuse to visit Austria. So we'll see maybe down the line. Um, in terms of my plans for comedy next year, just keep on trucking. But exactly what I did this year, I don't know. Things have changed, so I don't know how many gigs I'll be able to go to next year. Hopefully, not less than I have been doing before, which would be great. We'll see. I've got a comedy competition coming up. I'm doing Show Me the Funny again, third year in a row. Really enjoyable gig. It's a fantastic night. I feel really uh, relaxed and enjoy myself when performing on stage because it's a very well established comedy competition and the prize is just great. And like I've from the previous 2 years doing it, it's always been a great audience. I've gotten nice responses from my material. Not enough to get into the final, but hopefully this year we'll see. Um, but this is from the past, but it's in the future. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's been a difficult year for me for comedy, getting attacked by the media, and then on the flip side, the podcast blowing up and doing great, which is something I've always strived for from the very beginning. I'm glad it has happened, and to all my new subscribers, you can look forward to more content in the new year from me as I continue on into what will become in August year 6 of comedy, where things will start to get interesting. Kind of around year 6 to 10 is when things kick it up a notch. So, looking forward to that. But what I'm going to do is finish up and continue on to the next episode. But yeah, thank you all for everything this year, both from comedy and the podcast. I couldn't do it without your support. And to the new people who have joined me this year, welcome aboard to the L Talks Enterprise, the one man operation. I actually had somebody reach out to me recently about analytics for the channel. I think it's SEM, and they were saying, what we could do for. They thought I was a team. I was like, no, it's not a team. It's one man doing this. But yeah, as per usual, all the links down below. Also, in the last few episodes, Malinda's special "I'm Not a Drug Dealer" has come out on YouTube. It was exclusive on his website for an entire year, but now it is on YouTube, and he has nearly reached 10,000 views. It'd be great if we could get him to 10,000 views soon, or before the end of the year. But this will come out the day before the year end, so it's, I don't know what it is, but I suppose that is it. Trying to think of anything else. Is there anything else? No, not really. Pretty much sums everything up. Yeah, so the link for his special will be down below. Please watch it. It's a great special. And I suppose this is the last episode of the year. An eventful year. A lot of things happened both in the podcast and in the comedy, but it is ending. So I hope you had a good year this year, 2024, and I hope next year, 2025, brings more good stuff. We shall see. As per usual, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Happy New Year.